Morning everyone, welcome to a new week. So we're going to start on the Capri straight away. I think I mentioned before, it is a Mk1 Capri. It's actually a 3-litre E, which I didn't realise, so it's even rarer than I first thought. But yeah, it's critical to get these into some sort of protection. Obviously it's bare metal at the moment, it's been dipped, so absolutely critical to get it into the next stage as quick as we possibly can. Humidity issues and flash rush, they happen very, very quickly on things like this. We've had a bit of a change of plan already, and I'll show you why. So if you look at the doors, when the doors are shut, the way that the front wings fit at the moment is absolutely appalling to start with. They've been welded in, well, in the wrong place. It's as simple as that, both sides. But obviously they're completely shot in any case, as I've said previously. And also this one has had some sort of patch welded on here. It's not even, I don't think they've even tried to really shape it into the right position, that. So we are going to take the doors off to start with. I'll take the wings off as well. They're all spot welded in, or they should be. And in any case, I'm not sure how these ones have been done because they are replacement panels, like I said. But hopefully they don't put up too much of a struggle. Take both front wings off, and then it's just a case, excuse me boys have just come in. It's just a case then of sanding it with an 80 grit back to this sort of finish here. Doesn't take too long, to be honest. It just roughs up the surface in preparation for our next level of protection. We'll go from there, really. Doors off, wings off, see what we can do. Alright, quick break for lunch. You can see that we've taken the wings off. We've unfortunately exposed some horrors under this side, which is expected. So it's a good job that we have taken the wings off, obviously, because otherwise that would all still be hidden. It's had a significant amount of patchwork in here before, but done poorly, as you can see. I mean, they've just cut through the sill there and left it completely open, unfortunately. So yeah, significant amount of work that needs to go into that section. Obviously all the top edge is completely gone. The wings themselves are completely gone, as we knew. Front edges like this, there's nothing left to it, so that all needs to be taken care of as well. But like we said, the rest of the car is actually pretty good. So it is just these front sections here, floor pans a little bit, arches, things like that, but for the most part could be a lot worse. This side's better, but again, you can still see very weak metal. So what I'm not going to do is put any primer over these sections for now. Although you can see obviously the holes and the fact that it still needs addressing, it does hide it a little bit, doesn't it, with the primer. So I'll leave these open so that the guys over at Classic Engineering know what they need to do and they can see it more clearly. But yeah, we've been just scuffing the side of the car here and obviously the engine bay. This is the sort of level that we need to go to with an 80 grit. Unfortunately, we just don't have any tools, or no one does, I don't think, which can get into a lot of these intricate areas. So it is all just done by hand. This is very time consuming, but we've taken the top layer off and gone back to a nice bare metallic gloss, as you can see there, which is what the TDS states we need for the next layers. Areas like this, a lot easier. We can just run the DA and rotary over things like that. But again, we've still got a lot of other intricate areas to get to inside the whole car, that sort of thing. Very time consuming, but it's getting there. It's absolutely critical as well to get this stage done correctly, because this is the very first layer that goes onto everything. If we get this layer wrong, then every subsequent layer on top of this will potentially fail. So really important, especially with the first layer, that it is done absolutely as it needs to be done. That's the Jag all cleaned down for the last time then. You guys will remember we've had it in the storage unit for a little while under some plastic sheeting, but they still somehow managed to get dusty. I don't really quite understand how, but anyway, because of the way that we did this one, you'll remember we've seam sealed, we've done all the arches in Cobra, the interior has all been done in Cobra as well. So we were able to actually pressure wash the entire car, which is quite nice really, inside and out. Just get rid of all the dust, clean it up for the last time, get rid of any polishing residue that was left over from last time. Haven't put the boot on. It's ready to go, just haven't put it on because the thread size on this is actually slightly different to what we have in stock. So yeah, we haven't put the boot back on this one. But yeah, this is the last time you guys are going to see this one until hopefully we might get some more photos of it when it's all finally put back together. Back off to Classic Engineering as always for the final refit. Yeah, oh, see, it's got dust on it already. But yeah, you can see it's come out nice, this one. Very happy with it. Doors are not gapped up properly. They do fit a lot better than that when they are actually gapped correctly. But you guys will see that in the previous videos from a long time ago. So we know they fit. It's just we haven't gone to the extent of that because the doors were going to be coming off in any case for the refit. So yeah, enough rambling. Happy with this one. On to the next. Okay, we've done about as much as we can. I think the time lapse just doesn't show how much work goes into something like this, to be honest. All these intricate areas, it's extremely difficult to get in there by hand. I don't know how many hours we spent on this, it's on the board, but yeah, hours and hours and hours we've spent on this one already, trying to prep this one up ready for the next stages. There's a couple of areas that I'm not too happy from the dipping side of things. So areas like this, there. I'm presuming it's areas, or it certainly looks like it is, where the fluid has potentially pooled when it's been upside down, and it's just been allowed to flash rust or... well, I'm not sure, but it seems to be in areas like this, you know, which are clear recesses where we do have some rust issues still, or the previous rust has just not been removed. Obviously, if I prime straight over the top of that now, it's going to be hidden, but it will potentially come back later on because it's not removed. So we're going to get the sandblaster out. That's the plan. I wasn't thinking I was going to do that on this because obviously it's already been dipped, but. Yeah, there's just quite a few areas on the car which I'm not too happy about. I think we'll be able to get in there a lot easier just with the sandblaster. Create a bit of a mess in the booth again, but yeah, we'll be able to tidy up a few areas. Again, stuff like this, I'm not going to touch this too much because that needs to be all replaced in any case, quite obviously. You know, so I don't need to go to the extent of trying to blast that because it won't tidy up anyway. But areas which we will be able to tidy up, you know, stuff like this. It's just not touching it with the sanders. So we'll spot that in with the shop blaster quickly and see how that goes. Okay, we're calling that done, I think. So the whole car has been cleaned down, hoovered. Whole booth has been hoovered from the sandblasting side of things, and then we've panel wiped the car twice, or even 3 times in certain areas. We're ready to go now. So like I said, I'm going to tape up some of the areas. Some things like this obviously need attention, so we'll tape up areas like that so we don't need to get any primer on there. And then it's just more obvious that those do need attention still. You know, things like this, I can spray over this because it's obvious that needs work. But yeah, we'll tape up the worst of it just so we don't get any overspray on that. Keep it open, keep it obvious. And then it's going to be 2 coats now of our bodywork primer. Inside, outside, upside down, the works. 2 coats of our bodywork primer done then. And I've got to say, couldn't be much happier with how it's come out. Really, really happy with this one. I would say we've got 100% coverage on the areas that we needed to. So obviously areas like that in the rail underneath there, inside that rail, and some really intricate areas in the engine bay and in the boot and things you can't get to. That's not what this primer is about. So we'll obviously cavity seal those at a later date. But at this stage, it's just a temporary protection measure. So you're just sealing the bare metal. It gives us up to 6 months worth of protection. You can do all the welding work on top of it. I think I've mentioned before, it is a weldable primer. But yeah, 6 months of protection from the elements. Obviously, you wouldn't want to leave it outdoors, but it can get a little bit damp and things like that if it needs to, preferably not. But like I said, it's protected now. Welding gets done on top of it. And yeah, go from there really. But again, you can see come out really nice. Couldn't be much happier with it at all. So I had Tig helping me out on the underside and the whole of the inside of the car as well. It's a big old thing. I think we were in the booth for a good few hours, back to back spraying this. So just for me to do all of this by myself, it would have been quite a task. It is tiring. I'll be honest with you guys. It takes it out of you spraying. You've got to concentrate. Got to remember exactly where you've been, and it does take its toll on you. Even reasonably medium-sized car like this, it's not enormous, but it does take a long time. So yeah, over the moon happy with what Tig's done. She's done the whole inside. She's been an absolute massive help. I've got to say, absolutely faultless. I haven't seen a single thing in here which I would have done any differently myself. Really, really pleased. Yeah, it's come out lovely. So it's joined my little Fiat at the moment. A lot of people have been asking about the Fiat. I'm afraid this is sat for more than 6 months now. It's just sat there. I haven't done anything with it. So the only difference on something like this now, when we go into the next stage, it'll need a scuff over and then it can go into the epoxy. Whereas this, if it's within 6 months, just needs a panel wipe and goes straight into the epoxy without scuffing. But I haven't even done the welding work on this, so I'm nowhere near anywhere progressing this one forwards in any shape or form. I just haven't had the time. It's not a customer vehicle, so it's not priority. I'd love to get it done, but it is just a personal vehicle of mine. So yeah, it's not in bare metal. It can sit there for as long as it likes, really. I'll get it done at some point. Yeah, this one's come out really nice. The wings, if anyone knows where to get some Mk1 Capri wings, please let me know. We are having a few issues at the moment trying to source some new or replacement second-hand panels, potentially. But as you can see, I personally just don't think these are salvageable in any shape or form. I really don't. Yeah, I want to see some new wings going on this car, realistically. I think, honestly, the amount of time that you'd spend trying to repair all of these issues, plus then obviously the bodywork that we would need to put into them afterwards to get them straight, even if the replacement panels are reasonably expensive, you're going to be there or thereabouts, but with repaired wings instead of just new ones. So I think new is really the only way to go for something like this. That's my personal opinion. That is my professional opinion as well. I'll be telling the customer and Nick over at Classic Engineering. That's my preference. We'll see where we go from there, really. But yeah, for now, this is our work done. 72 hours this one's got to sit for, and then welding work can commence. Just continuing on the fine work with the Skyline then. So we've reinforced the inside where we had to cut away. So we've re-fiberglassed all of that. Started doing some of the edges, obviously you've seen in the previous videos, but again, reinforced it from the inside, that's the main thing. I've just started tubbing these 2 sections together now as well, so you'll remember we had to cut out a lot of material around the top. We'll obviously have to re-glass all of that back and tub the 2 sections together so that it's all watertight, otherwise there's going to be a lot of mess going that way. But at the moment, I've just done this section here purely because it's going to give me a bit of a mounting point for that section of the bumper there. When that's in place, then I can finalize these top edges and make sure they are absolutely as good as we can get them. So just glassed in 1 sheet of fiberglass at the moment. That'll allow me, once that's hardened, I'll be able to trim off all the edges and then we'll put another piece on top just to reinforce, but that'll give me something to screw into. Like I said, I've got to tub the whole section in any case, but at the moment I'm just concerned about getting this fitting. Okay, you can see what we've done here. So I've just traced it on there just to check that it is going to work, but that is obviously all fiberglass there. So all we need to do is just come in a little bit from the rear bumper, drill some holes through there. It'll go straight through the fiberglass, which is what we want, instead of into the metal in this instance. It doesn't need much holding it in place here because the main structure and fastenings are on the rear end of this one. So 3 along the top, 2 in the standard positions there. This is just to keep this tucked in so that we can keep this gap how we want it. I think what I'm probably going to do now, you may remember from quite a while ago, these quarters are very, very rippled. It's hard to tell now because I've started sanding. Is this side any better? Maybe a little bit. No, that doesn't really help. But the quarters are rippled in any case. They need a lot of bodywork. So I think what we're going to do is start the bodywork now finally on these rear quarters before going too far on the gap there. But we know that that premise is going to work. We know how we're going to fix it. It's just about getting this quarter into shape now, I think, with all the filling work that needs to go into that, and then take care of that bit afterwards. That's probably going to be the best way to go about it.
Make a life for myself. Make a life for myself.
Bodywork's well underway with the Skyline. I'll just show you over the other side, actually that's going to be easier. So you guys remember we've bonded the fiberglass panels onto the shell of the car with 3M panel bond. They have then been fiberglass matted onto the car to bridge the join and kind of make a seamless transition. That's all been sanded down, and then the first layer is our white noble fiber. So we go on with that one first because it's a thicker strand. It's slightly harder to sand down than the fiber micro, which I'll show you over the other side in a minute. But it's the first layer that we go on with to just smooth out the joins, really, smooth out any dimples. It's the deeper fill fiberglass filler. You can see here, matting, white, and then we go on with the fiber micro, which is the green, which is a lot easier to sand. It's still elastic, it's still a fiberglass filler. But we have essentially done all of the bodywork repairs to this sort of level. You can see, if the camera will focus, we're not far off being about where we want to be with that one. And we've done all of that with fiberglass. So we haven't even gone anywhere near the car with normal filler just yet. That means then, when we do go on with normal filler, that will be over the entire panel, just a skim of it, and you'll see how thin that goes on. But yeah, when we do go on with that, we're not going to have big, thick clumps of filler on there. That's what causes stress failures. That's what causes cracks. That's what causes failures in this sort of kit in the future. It's the old school way of doing things, bodge things absolutely full of fiberglass, full of filler, sorry. But it's not what we do here. It's the easy way of doing things, but yeah, it will fail eventually down the line. So we use fiberglass, and you can see that's only a couple of mil, if that, probably not even a couple of mil in the deepest areas in that section at the moment that we've done. So it's coming along nicely. A lot of work, but we're getting there. The spoiler, I've started moulding all of that in. Again, fiberglass, it's all bonded on, etc. It's difficult to tell at the moment because you've got so many different colours going on, so it does look wobbly at the moment, but I think, pretty sure we're on the right lines with that, and I think it's all moulded into how I want it to be. I'll know straight away when I put some primer on there, or it's probably going to poly next actually. Yeah, again, this area here looks wobbly, but you've got to remember there's resin underneath that as well, so it just throws your eye out ever so slightly, just because of the colour change. But yeah, I think it's all coming along pretty well. Soon find out. Most of the blending work is done. So that's the transition between the fiberglass panel and the steel body of the car. So that's all the green fiberglass, as you can see there. We'll go into the next stages in a second. Likewise with the spoiler, I think I've done all the moulding on this now, so I think this is probably a 1 of 1. Genuine Tommykara wing molded into a non-recessed carbon boot. It'll look a lot better when it's got the next stages on it. It's all so many colours, again, you can't tell at the moment, but I've kept this body line, which is the same one here, curves around. Yeah, that should look quite nice, I think, when that's all said and done. We have got quite a few areas like this. So I need to strip all of the paint back. You can see the micro blisters there on the previous paintwork. It's everywhere. And there we go, picks it up a bit better. So all of this spoiler is going to need to be stripped back to the gel coat, I presume. Yeah, it's a fiberglass spoiler, so it'll be gel coat there. Strip it all back to there, because there's been some sort of micro blistering issues in the past with that previous paintwork. Not an issue, needs to be done in any case for our poly stages. Just wanted to clarify on something like this as well, where it looks like there's loads of filler, or there's still a lot of low spots. There's really not. So I think this should demonstrate it pretty well. It looks a lot, it's not. Even if it was, like I said, at this stage, that is fiberglass filler in any case. So yeah, we're good to go. We've got elasticity in there. The problem I'm having with these panels is they are, not so much here, but they are flexible. They're very flexible, in fact. Does that even show on the camera? I'm not sure it really is. But obviously when I'm standing on this, it's not the easiest. So can't guarantee I'm going to get these absolutely arrow straight, but I'll do my best. Can't put any more rigidity into it either, because it is completely bonded onto position. In fact, we had a little bit too much rigidity in one section here. This was bulged out ever so slightly, so I've just cut that off for now, so one step backwards, unfortunately. But yeah, it was kind of, I can't really demonstrate it, but it was kind of bowing out like that, and it didn't look good, so I've had to cut the stress out of it. I'll just be able to reglass it back in position, flat and straight as it should be, like the other side is. But yeah, when you put these kits on, you're putting so much pressure in certain areas, they don't really want to fit how you want them to fit, as it were. So it is about making them fit, really, and then relieving the stress as we go, so they're not under any stress or tension now. That's the main thing. And then just working around it, really. So yeah, always ways around everything. Next stage for this one then is a skim of normal body filler over the whole thing. All right, I think that's where I'm going to leave this week's YouTube video, with the Capri again, and some rather exciting news actually that I didn't think I was going to be telling you, but there we are. Those of you who followed the channel for a little while now will know that we work very closely with Nick over at Classic Engineering. So a lot of the bare shells, in terms of the classic cars at the least, that come to us are from Classic Engineering. This actually is an exception. This is a local customer of mine, but we are working in conjunction with Nick to get this one completed. So it was always the case that we were going to get it into the bodywork stage, and into the bodywork primer, that it is in now, and then it was going to be collected by Nick to go back to Classic Engineering to get all of the welding work done, and then obviously the car would come back to us for the final paintwork as per usual. I'll be honest, it never even crossed my mind that we would even be considering taking on any of the welding repairs here. It's just not something we normally do on a regular basis, for a couple of different reasons. So one, we didn't know what we were going to find with this car after the dipping process. At the end of the day, it's a 1972 Ford. There could have been nothing left to it. There could have been all sorts of horrors uncovered after the dipping. Paintwork and fiberglass and filler and all that sort of thing can hide a lot of issues over the years. You never know what you're going to find until the cars are dipped. As it happens, this is actually a very, very good one as far as I'm concerned. I think we've had some of the Mark V Escorts in the shop which are worse than this one. So realistically, I think it is a survivor, this one. Obviously, it's got its issues, but compared to what it could be, it's really pretty good. And secondly, we're not really kitted out as a shop to do the repair panels. So we don't have an English wheel. We don't have big bending presses and all of that sort of tooling to make our own repair panels in-house. So the only way that I would even consider doing it is with replacement panels. So replacement panels or nothing. We don't really make repair patches. Obviously, a small section of a sill or a small section of an inner wing or something like that, I've got no issue doing that sort of thing whatsoever. That's easy work, no problems with that. But for the larger issues or the larger areas on something like this, like I said, it just didn't cross my mind. I think you can probably tell from the way that I'm speaking, there is a potential for that to change on this one. So we're having a little bit of a back and forth at the moment with Nick and the customer to figure out exactly what we're going to do going forwards. Found a company who does potentially make all of the panels that we need to repair this one and repair it really rather well as well, I'd have to say. But obviously there is a cost implication to all of that as well. I think sometimes you've got to think the amount of time that you'd spend on making a repair panel, welding that repair panel in, and then obviously there is the fine finishing work that we would have to do on top of that to make that repair panel then look seamless and how it's meant to be in the car. Whereas sometimes I think just using a replacement panel instead, which is already stamped out and already marked out. Take this A-post, for example. The A-post that I can get from the place that I'm talking about, it is this entire piece. So, you know, all of this section is taken care of. More so if you look at the other side, actually, when they've done something like this in the past. There's no need for any of that. You can get this entire piece for about £30. So why someone's gone to the extent of doing that is beyond me. Perhaps this company wasn't around then at that stage when this was done, but it certainly is now in any case. So again, patches like this, I mean, it's just no good. It's not what we want to see. I wouldn't even contemplate trying to patch anything on like this. It's, like I said, a replacement panel for us or nothing. But they are available, so we can get that. We can get things like this. The wing supports, I think, are something like £30. Obviously, you'd have an entire replacement piece like that with all the stamping and all the presses involved, so it would look genuine and look complete. And obviously, the most important thing, it would be structural and strong. So it's the correct way to do things, I think. Yeah, there's the toss-up between making a panel or making a repair patch, or doing it what I consider the correct way and using replacement panels all the way around. Now, there is a cost implication to all of this, of course, and it does build up. So I think I'm going to wait until Tig comes in on Monday. We'll go around the car in full, figure out exactly what panels I think we need, figure out perhaps what panels we can get away with not using, put that to the customer and go from there, really. There is a budget involved, of course. We try to work with everyone. We try to do what's right for the car, what's right for the customer at the time, and figure out the best solution going forwards. You know, there's certain sections which we don't necessarily have to do, but they're very, very cheap to do as well. I mean, you know, sections like the back here, this rear valance, when you look at something like this, it's absolutely peppered with holes. You've got very, very weak metal around there. Yes, it can be repaired. How long would you spend on repairing something like that? You can get this entire rear piece for £45. So it just doesn't make sense in that instance to even consider trying to repair something like that. You just get a replacement one. But then there's something like the bulkhead, which I think is more like £500, £600. However, we don't need it because you can also get a kick plate which comes up to around this sort of area, takes care of the affected areas. That's about £50. So I think we might be winning with that side. Again, you can get new floor pans, new A-post, inner and outer, new inner sills. I can get a replacement panel for this section here and weld that in nicely. Obviously, it's had some patches in the past, but even these are failing now as well. So they all need taken care of, but we'll take all of that outer arch out, put a new one in. So it is a patch repair in a respect, but it's also molded to the car. You know, it's a proper way of doing things. So yeah, likewise, front valance is available. Headlight rings are available. These are available. This is available. I don't think this one's too bad. I think it's the other side. It might not even be that. Actually, it might just be the outer sections. I'll have to have a look in detail, like I said. But yeah, basically, very long story short, I know I've rambled for a while on this one, but all of the panels are available for this one. So it's just going to be a case of figuring out what we're going to do time-wise, cost-wise, and you know, for the best job of the car going forwards. It may be staying with us. We may be taking it all on in-house, or it might be going back to Nick still. So I'll let you guys know in the next few weeks what we decide to do with that one. Exciting projects if it does stay with us, I'll say that much. But a lot of work.